Thank you, Madam President. Nice video. Thank you very much, Christian. I apologize for my voice. I had lots of discussions during these days. It's been a long journey since we last met in Luxembourg, and I'm very pleased to finally be here in person and see you all. It's been very intense 6 days, lots of conversations, lots of discussions, but what a remarkable session this was. Air traffic chaos on the first days, lost luggage, people in sneakers across the galleries, a session in the middle of the most dramatic war, unfortunately, that Europe has seen since the Second World War, 2 delegations sanctioned, a record number of candidates, and we will soon see the results of the presidential and the vice presidential races. Very close races in the committees, actually one even a draw with a draw of ballot, which only happened a couple of times in the history of the Parliamentary Assembly. 706 participants, 238 MPs from 51 countries. I think after 3 years of COVID and lots of video calls, this was a remarkable journey, and I would like to thank you all of you, for being here and for participating in this very important moment, which, as I said at the Standing Committee meeting, I think this is the real soul, the pulse of this Assembly, is that members meet, talk to each other, sometimes talk at each other, but that you create your personal connections in these meetings, in the side events, in the social moments. I think we managed to come back on stage and starting again with the in-person meetings, and of these I'm extremely happy. And I would like to thank our host, the UK Parliament, for making all the arrangements, all the staff that has worked at this conference, the Secretariat, the International Secretariat, international staff and conference team that has organized this event, and in particular Gustavo Pallares. Without Gustavo, this meeting would not take place. Gustavo is the sole and the longest serving and most experienced person in the Secretariat. And if I have the privilege sometimes of reading an Italian sports newspaper at 8:30 in my hotel, is because I know Gustavo is here, he's making sure that the trains run on time and that the Assembly is in good hands. So thank you very much, Gustavo. And of course, through Gustavo, to all the team that has been working on this annual session, those who you see on the podium, those who are behind the scenes, the interpreters, and also our staff who works in the logistics, in the table office, in the documents office. One lesson I've learned from this annual session, and it's that we really need a dramatic reform of our rules of procedures. Yesterday event, of course, was a bit unfortunate. I would like to express my sympathy to Madam President for the difficult situation we have put you in yesterday. It was not easy. The proceedings from the Bureau were giving sometimes mixed signals, and to handle these from the stage, you will appreciate it's not very easy for anyone. So, Madam President, I hope that you understand that all of us here expressing sympathy to you, it was not easy to go through that yesterday, so you have our full sympathy. I am responsible for the Secretariat of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, and I can say that I am proud to say that this Secretariat is in a very healthy condition. Since I took the responsibility of the Secretariat, and as I said in the Standing Committee, I think I've arrived at the midterm of my mandates as Secretary General. One can take some stocks. I think I'm very proud of where we have arrived. When I took the International Secretariat, there was we are talking about the rules of the Assembly here, but also in the Secretariat, there were no rules of how you regulate the relations with the staff. There were no financial rules and regulations against which the auditor and the treasurer could check and exercise accountability and transparency on our accounts. I'm proud to say that since I became Secretary General, I've introduced a very stringent rule for the staff, a code of conduct, by the way, that was a request that came from the Second Committee. I went to the Second Committee to say that we already have a code of conduct for the staff since 2016, and also financial rules and regulations. I think this is very important for an international organization. It was not the case in 2016. I know that you've heard this speech several times, but I promise you I will bore you more and more times with this speech, because it is very important that you understand that my responsibility was to put this international secretariat, which was run in also a very arbitrary fashion. I've tried to introduce as much as possible level of professionalities that correspond to similar international organizations like the Council of Europe, NATO Parliamentary Assembly, and the OSCE as such at the governmental side. So, on the political side, I think today you've just passed the most important document, our annual resolution, and I'm extremely proud of where this Assembly and where all of you stand on the political scene. We have spoken very clearly on the biggest issue, the war on Ukraine. We have spoken on this issue very clearly since 2014, where we said that there were clear, gross, and uncorrected violations of the Helsinki Final Act. Today, you've said that you condemn resolutely and unequivocally the ongoing, intensified, clear, and still uncorrected violation of the Helsinki Principles. So I think this speaks to itself. I think we will make sure that this annual resolution reaches all the possible ministers. As it is in our rules, we have to inform all the ministers and ministerial council about this resolution, and we will do so immediately. The way forward, I think the Bureau has to meet. I think in Helsinki we will have an event on the Helsinki Plus 50 project, but I think in that occasion I would like the Bureau, the new elected Bureau, to have an occasion for reflection a little bit on what is this assembly, what are our rules. Before we start to reform the rules, I think we should rethink a little bit of who we are, what we do. Do we need a 6 days annual session? Do we need a long document to be approved? Do we engage in election observation missions or in 15, 16 special representatives with specific dossier? All of this needs to be reconceptualized, and it needs to be done by the political leadership. Those who know, when I was elected in 2015, I said that I am a strong believer of the fact that the leadership of this assembly belongs to the elected politicians, to the parliamentarians. The Secretariat is here at the service of the elected politicians. So I think the Bureau should meet sometimes, of course, with the help of the International Secretariat, but sometimes in September, and rethink a little bit our old construction and give us the way forward and say, Secretariat, try to draft rules that come in plugging in this new vision that we have for the Assembly. And I think this is a process that, of course, the Bureau will trigger, but then we have to involve as many as possible. All the delegations and all the standing committee will have to be involved. In the spring, we will have election observation missions in Bosnia, Herzegovina, and in the United States for the midterm elections. You've already heard about our winter meeting, our autumn meeting in Skopje. And now, Madam President, a little moment, if you allow me, on a personal note. First, I know at the beginning of the session we paid a tribute to Ilkka Kanerva. I would like to also pay a tribute to Ilkka Kanerva, former president who died this year. Ilkka Kanerva, I served him as a presidential advisor in my former job when I was a staff of the Secretariat, and also he was also the first president I served as the Secretary General. He also gave us at the beginning a kind of a political way forward. He gave us some ideas on what we should do in the next 5 years when he became president, and I certainly hope that the new Bureau will do so now. As you know, and I am in contact with many of you, I've had in these days, and you can hear from my voice, I think at least 200 private conversations with many of you. Many of you are friends of mine, many of you have approached me to give me advice, sometimes criticism, sometimes healthy criticism, sometimes expressing concern. I just want to reassure you that all of these things that I've received are all very well registered. I, of course, do not respond to some of these things unless they are directly addressed at me, but I think there is a need for further clarification. There is a need for increasing the transparency of how the International Secretariat conducts itself, because I can read, when I read the room and outside the room, that there are lots of questions, there are lots of sometimes concerns that are not related to me directly, but they come through me, through friends, through people who want to give me a friendly advice. So I will, from September, launch what I call an hour, 2 hours with the Secretary General, with the Secretariat, I would say, me, Gustavo, and the senior management colleagues, available for Secretaries of Delegations or interested members to kind of update you on a monthly basis of what are the upcoming activities, what's going on, also what's going on internally in the Secretariat, who is hired, what vacancies are available. I mean, all of these, of course, available on our website, but sometimes it's good to provide a moment where questions, concerns, criticism, and as you know, I always welcome all of those, are funneled through a proper, let's say, moment where actually in a very transparent manner one can provide answers. With this, I think I will thank the international staff of the Secretariat, who has done a remarkable job here. I'm very proud of the staff that we have both in Vienna and in Copenhagen. It's a body of professional colleagues. They have interacted with many of you. They are the ones who make sure that we can sustain with I would say, commensurate resources of the budget, and I thank the Standing Committee for approving the budget on the first day of this session. But they are the ones who make sure that we can carry out all the activities, the many activities that we triggered. Don't forget that this assembly started from a moment where we were doing statutory meetings and election observation missions and some visits of the President, to a moment where the Assembly does committees on terrorism, committee on the fight, on migration, and the 16 special representatives that we have. So we have exponentially raised our activities. There was a leaflet which showed how many members have actually been involved. There is a 608% increase of members' involvement. It's not only activities, but if before there was let's say, a core group of 20, 30 members who were the ones who were always more participating in activities. Now we have a huge number of MPs who are participating in our events. So of this, I thank you, and I really appreciate your engagement in international politics through the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. And I conclude, as we work very closely also with the Secretaries of Delegations, which are our counterpart at the Secretariat, in order to provide better service to you. I'm told, and I hope I'm not going to make a faux pas here, the 2 Secretaries of Delegations are participating to their last official session. It's Gunilla from Finland and Anka from Romania. And I hope this is correct information. So I would like you to come quickly to the stage for a second so I can give you a present, because I see the tellers are already entering in the room and they're eager to give us the election results. So please, Anka and Gunilla, come a second and we can give you a present. Just make a photo. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you on the spot to say something. That's okay. Please come in so that we can see you. Okay, Anka, that's for you. Gustavo. Okay, so we make a photo, Madam President, with all of them.
Please, in the middle. Yes, Gunilla.
Come closer, okay?
Let me come.
All right.
Okay.
Let's quickly do it. I see the tellers are. Thank you.